Hi, I'm Dr. Gemma, and welcome back to Cognitive, the Knitting Psychology podcast. Cheerfully and somewhat irregularly in business since 2008. Segments today may include what's on my hooks, needles, and spindles, a strategy, something I really like, put a lid on it, oh shoot, and blather. So sit back, put your feet up, pick up your knitting, crocheting, spinning, weaving, or dyeing, or any other yarny thing you're doing, and get ready to enjoy. Well, hello there, it's Dr. Gemma, and welcome back here at episode 98 of Cognitive, which I am recording very late in the week. What is this? Wednesday, October 5th at about 9 a.m., As always, it's been an eventful week. I wanted to give my warm thanks to everybody again with their best wishes for the hub's eye surgery. He's doing great, we'll talk about it. To Tiny Shiny Things for a very sweet posting about how I'm living my values, although I don't exactly have a lot of choice in that. But I keep talking about it nonetheless. To Turbo Gal for pointing out that many things that we do not like grow in vacuum sealing conditions, so we do need to refrigerate those foods when we seal them and beforehand. Beetlejuice, welcome back. Long time no see and very missed, my friend. I am deeply, deeply glad to see you back. Thank you everybody who made nice comments about my haircut and my day off, and I hope I will get to all of that in the blather. COVID, you know the drill. I'm just warning everybody, please remember, it's still prudent to mask up in crowds. Now, here's the interesting thing. I keep running into people who say, I don't have COVID, it's just a bad cold. Remember that we all wore masks for about 2 years? So we've forgotten what colds are like, haven't we? Yes, we have. They're not bad colds. They're normal colds. Here's an idea. Wear a mask. I have not missed having head colds. I've had a few minor ones. Actually, I'm not sure what I've had. They may have just been allergies because it's allergy season, pretty much all year round for me. But what I would say is those masks are not a bad idea in the winter if you're trying to avoid allergies, flus, and all sorts of nasty things. If you're going to be in a crowd, mask up. It's just common sense. Don't forget it's that time of year. Get all your shots, pneumonia, flu, shingles, COVID, you name it, you should probably get it. Hey, Gemma, have you had your latest COVID booster? No. Why? Because I have a midterm in ASL tonight. Darn it. So I'll be scheduling my next one. I've already gotten my flu shot, and I'm probably going to work on the pneumonia shots. Here's an idea. When you get one of those shots, whatever they are, mark it on your calendar to repeat once a year, once every 6 months, whatever you have to do. It's kind of embarrassing. As I age, I leave less and less to my memory. So I do things like putting renewals on my meds on my calendar. It's kind of embarrassing, but at the same time, when you take a pill every day, like I do for my thyroid, you just forget about it. You forget that you can renew it. So it is a beautiful thing to just put it on your calendar. I know, it's for old knitters. Meanwhile, if you want to see my show notes, you can find them at cognitivepodcast.blogspot.com. I'm just going to do this once because I love the new people. COGKNITIVE podcast.blogspot.com, all one word. Or we have a group under the same name on Ravelry. What is on my hooks and needles? Well, it's been another crash, bang, slam, wham of a week. The boys are still away. I am going into my third week alone on the farm, managing the farm work myself, which has not been all that bad. So I'm not doing much. The lane splitter's not getting any love. I think it's about 32, 34 inches along the edge. It's heading for about 40 before I think about turning the corner again. Now remember, this is knit on the bias. So you knit a triangle, widening as you go. Then you turn only one corner, and then you go the straightaway Then you turn the other corner and knit another triangle and you're done. Think about it or draw it. It'll work. If you don't know yet, we are keeping up with that. I am working my way through all the black yarn. Blah. That is no fun. Black yarn, crocheting black yarn. Right up there with knitting black yarn. Not a lot of fun, but I'm doing it while the daylight is strong. And I realize as I am drawing near the end of the year, I've really got to knit this while there's good daylight. I'm looking at one more skein of black, and I'm about a third of the way through another. I hope that's the last skein of black. I'm getting really tired of this. I'm then getting down to the remaining greens and the endless bright, beautiful orange. We are keeping up. October 25th will be 300 blocks. Can you believe it? I certainly can't. Now, Gigi Knitmore, whom I love, thank you for the wonderful call, Gigi, the other day. Gigi was saying just treat it like a temperature blanket. I can't quite. I do not have the colors in the right proportions to do that. I had thought of that too. What I think is likely to happen, I think the black is likely to be used as a frame and then as the bottom row, and I'm sort of making it like a sunrise, is how I've been thinking of it, with unequal distribution of colors. If I have as much orange as I think I have, it'll probably look more like a sunset. Like, you'll be able to tell. It's going to be beautiful, and it's probably going to have a black frame, is what I'm saying. Meanwhile, I haven't touched much of anything else except the Wrapped in Tiny Chains cardigan. I am actually on the second front panel. I'm very happy. It's going much more quickly than the first one did because I just got bored and started wanting to crochet. The problem I have, my hands are sore from ASL a lot, and crocheting and ASL create the same kind of burn in the back of my hands. So I am trying to protect my hands from crocheting. Nonetheless, I've been rollicking along on that second front panel of the Tiny Chains. Do you want to know what it looks like? Look at the pattern on Ravelry. Why? These are just big rectangles. This is the most simple, nothing design, and yet you get the most beautiful cardigan out of it. I'm just so excited to get this done and get it pieced together because it's just pretty, and yet this could not be easier. And it's a lesson to us all. If you want to make cardigans, you can always go the route of just making rectangles, knitting or crocheting, and seaming them together. You know, if you get a pretty yarn, like a self-striper, and you work on the bias, or you get a pretty yarn and you don't work on the bias, these are not hard projects. Now, most of you are more experienced than me as knitters by this point, I'm sure, and you're all going, yeah, we already know that, Gemma. For those of you who still have anxiety about making sweaters, seriously, I cannot believe I waited so many years to start making my own. I just love making them. I love how they come out, and they just are not that hard. Certainly, if you're making your own socks, a sweater is going to be nothing for you. If you can make socks, you've pretty much got the basic skills. You can do ribbing, you can pick up stitches, you can use waste yarn, you can plan holes for the heel or the buttons. I mean, really, this is not the skill you think it is. Maybe I just have too big an idea of it because my mom tried to learn to knit. I don't know who she got to teach her, but the woman made it so hard for her, and she made a sweater and it didn't fit, blah, blah, blah. Of course, you know, my parents just had no craft skills, which is odd considering my mother was of Amish descent. I think I have it in the blood, but I guess it skipped a generation with poor mom. Meanwhile, on the midsummer socks, speaking of how easy socks are to make, I am on the second sock. I am heading towards the heel, but we're not there yet. I'm probably at about 6 inches. If you're wondering, I do my socks like this, from the top down. Now, I've done them from the toe up, and I really like that. Toe-up socks, of course, you can use up all your yarn. You just keep knitting till you run out of yarn, and then, you know, you call it the top. It's a nice strategy, but I don't use it. I knit top down, and then I save my scrap yarns, and usually at Halloween, I make socks out of the scraps and stripes, call them Franken socks, and call it my Halloween socks because they're all mismatched and pretty. However, this year I don't think we're going there because I don't think I knitted enough socks because I have so many socks it's not funny. However, I have officially killed my first pair of socks for the winter. Every time I start wearing my socks after the summer, it always happens. Like the first week, I just wear through the heels on 1 or 2 pairs, and I have already done that. The official sock killing has begun. Meanwhile, though, I have not been knitting a lot of socks. I got a lot of socks from Gigi Knitmore last year. She gave me a whole bunch, so I'm wearing them. So I decided not to sock on, and I've been doing a lot of other things. One thing I did was catch up on hats, and you can see that in previous episodes. Meanwhile, the midsummer socks. Remember them? I was talking about them. I know, I'm distracting myself this morning. At any rate, I am getting up to the heel. I do my socks 2 inches of ribbing from the top. Why 2 inches? 1 is just not enough for me. I have very strong calves as a lifelong runner, so I have to do 2 inches. After that, I do 5 more inches of stockinette for a total of 7 inches on the leg. And then I do 2 rows of waste yarn on one side only, and that's going to be where the heel goes. And meanwhile, I continue the tube after the waste yarn for another 5 3/4 inches for my size 9 feet before I go into the toe, which is the exact same pattern that I'm going to use for the heel. When I finish the toe, I go back. I run my needle through the row of the sock color just outside the waste yarn. I run my needles through it to do magic loop. And at that point, I pull out the waste yarn and I do another heel, but I do it right there. When I do that, after I pull out the waste yarn, now I've got a hole with the yarn arranged around my needles like a circle, and I'm using magic loop. I will do 2 rows of just regular knitting, just to make sure I'm catching up all the loops that were on my yarn, to make sure I didn't drop any stitches, etc. Then I start my decreases. My decreases are every other row in the standard way you use to make a toe. So that's my basic sock. If you don't know what I'm talking about on the heel, you really shouldn't get this from me. You should go online and look up how to do this. This was originally, I think, Elizabeth Zimmerman's idea to use the waste yarn this way. And so you can get it in her books as well. This is far easier for me than the way socks are normally taught with the heel flap and all that. I just use this kind of heel. I know a lot of people do the same thing I'm doing, but they use the Fish Lips Kiss heel. I don't particularly like the way that looks, although apparently for most people it gives a great fit. For me, I've tried it once. I didn't like it. I think it interrupts the circular striping pattern. However, for most people, it seems to give a better heel fit. Now, I have really narrow heel cords at the back of my foot. And so just the regular doing the same pattern for the heel that I do for the toe fits me better. But you should experiment with heels if you're going to do socks. Particularly if you're doing them this way. You should really experiment with heels. There's a lot of good heel patterns out there. And once you find what works for you, go crazy, Do it all the time. I, of course, have given you my list of my favorite resources. Let me tell you right now, I believe Little Knits is having a 25% sale on Malabrigo yarns on their stock. I am so Malabrigoed up that I did not buy, although I have to tell you today I am wondering why. I'm thinking about English Rose for a sweater. I am incorrigible. I have so much sweater knitting to do. At any rate, I would recommend you go look into that. That's Little Knits, spelled exactly the way you think it is, probably .com. Just go Google it. Meanwhile, my favorite resources, Independent Dyers, Lisa Souza, and Dizzy Blonde Studios. And then just for overall goodness, my LYS is Sierra Cottons and Wools in Bishop, California. I also like Wool & Company because they've helped me pick up odds and ends I need. And of course, always for really good, solid color generic yarns and for supplies, especially for supplies, I am a fan of Webs at yarn.com. No, I don't do advertising and I don't get paid for any of this. What does that tell you? Well, it tells you that I mean it. This doesn't mean there aren't other good suppliers out there, by the way. This also doesn't mean people who do take money are being somehow, evil. I'm just telling you, I don't take any kind of money for advertising, in case you're wondering. So, I mean what I say. That doesn't mean I may always have the best, but these guys have been working great for me. I am still working in my spinning on merino from Morro Bay Fleece Works, and that also is in the show notes if you need that link. But I am not spinning right now. I am waiting for the latest electric eel wheel that I ordered. It is coming, I believe, this month. And I think it is the Mini. If you want an electronic spinning wheel that you can carry in your hand and easily use on airplanes, this is the one for you. I'm a big fan of Maurice and his wheels. All right, moving on, let's get into the strategy. I had a real shocker this week, and I'm not going to go into what it is because I don't have permission to do it. But I realized that when we're talking about emotional management strategies, one of the things that often doesn't get said, and I don't believe is even listed in my beloved dialectical behavioral therapy, is simple gratitude. That the interesting thing is, I'm raised in America and we're taught to be go-getters and to go, go, go and struggle, struggle, struggle and always go after that next thing and be competitive. And I'm a highly competitive person by nature. But, I would like you to know, now that I'm in my 60s, if I could change anything, it would be I'd take more time to enjoy the small moments of my life. Now, I'm lucky because when I had my little boy, many, many years ago, he's going on 17 this March, I began to realize how priceless my time is. And I began to realize that no matter what problems we had him because we felt reasonably secure in our finances and our world, in our careers. Har, har, har. I've gone through a lot of jobs since then. But that's kind of the nature of what I do, that we don't tend to stay in jobs long term because they can only pay us to a point and then they realize they can't give us raises and they can get people right out of grad school cheaper. That's the life if you're in the mental health therapy world. However, having said that, it's been great. It's been great. I have had some good times before I had my child, but I have to say, I don't remember them because my kid's life has been so overwhelming to me. But, if you want emotional management, one of the things you need to do is to wake up, look around, and take stock, and to realize this is a good day. Even with the bad things going on, I had a sharp reminder that people are waking up all over the world to chemotherapy and radiation and illness and biopsies going wrong and all sorts of bad things. People will spend their day today next to the bedsides of the dying. People will suffer today. If that's not you, if you're like me, you're just thinking, another day of patience, it's going to be a long one. How will I get through? Which, by the way, I'm not. I have a great day coming up today. I'm really lucky. My Wednesday patients are a really, really nice bunch of people. The point is, if you're waking up to a day like mine today, where your big problem is, I better go feed the alpaca so I can shower the hay off me so my allergies don't kick up. If that's your idea of a crisis, you're having a great day. And one of the things you need to do to manage your emotions is to take stock of what's good in your life. It is very easy to get fixated on your problems because your brain likes that. And this is a mechanical property of your brain if you didn't know it. You think, why do I worry? Well, that's very simple. You worry because your brain rewards you for doing it. Yes, it's true. Nothing else. You get a hit of dopamine in your brain when you worry. Why is your brain that stupid? Well, let's take a minute to separate what's going on here. You have two parts of the way you think. One is your brain, which is a mechanical object sitting between your ears inside of your skull. The other is your mind. Your mind is not your brain, and we don't understand this, so I'm shooting in the dark here. But even the American Medical Association has recently acknowledged that the mind exists, that it is a part of you that thinks independent of your brain. Why did they acknowledge this? Because they finally recognized that there is so much corroboration of after-death experiences where people leave their bodies and seem to see what's happening to their bodies from outside their bodies. That's a pretty remarkable thing when you think, well, you're unconscious, the doctors may think you're dead, your eyes are closed, and that you can still, your eyes are closed, and yet you can still tell what's going on in the room. You can see it. How are you seeing without eyes and hear it? Okay, now, arguably your ears may not be closed, but your eyes certainly have been closed in some of these stories, many of these stories, and yet the mind still sees what is happening in the room. There is so much proof of this. There are so many anecdotes. Even the American Medical Association finally said it has to be real. So that means you've got sort of two ways of thinking. One is through your mechanistic brain, the machine, the biological machine sitting between your ears, wetware, if you will, and your mind, which seems to be a form of consciousness outside your brain or that can function apart from your brain. All right, why is this important? Because it means you have a mechanistic part of your thinking, and that's your brain. It is an object. It is a machine, even though it is organic. And it is acting like a machine. It has a set of functions, and it is fulfilling its functions over and over. Now, one part of its function that is very, very, very rarely breached is the desire to keep the body alive, okay? So your brain rewards you for doing things that keep your body alive, including planning, making a good plan. So when you make a plan, you get dopamine. That's the good part. So when you're in doubt, make a plan. It'll always give you a hit of dopamine. You'll feel better when you make any kind of plan, even a stupid one. Your brain can't tell. I hope you can. I hope your mind can. Okay, so what is this thing about worrying? Well, to your brain, to the machine, worrying looks exactly the same. And so your brain gives you dopamine for worrying. That's right, anxious people are anxious because they're sucking on the dopamine. We are all born addicted to dopamine. That is why we can become addicted to other things, in fact. So the brain likes dopamine, so the brain likes to worry. However, you can always short-circuit that when you're worrying by instead figuring out what you need to do or what you can possibly do, and you make a plan. Okay, and this is where the Worry Workbook and other strategies that I've talked about come in. So I won't go there again right now. But the important thing is, you can stop all this too by giving your brain dopamine intentionally by being grateful. You can walk around the house and you can look at the things you like. You can pet your dogs and cuddle your cat. You can say hello to the pony and feed everybody. You can clean the corral. Does this sound like I'm telling you about my life? What a coincidence. And all of these things will make you feel like you have done a plan. And these things will give you dopamine. Yes, I scattered dishcloths all over the house today just because I could. And today I will walk around the house dusting things, even though I did it 3 days ago, because I'm really just going to do it while I can before the boys get back. And right now, as I tell you this, I'm getting a hit of dopamine, and I can feel it. I feel good as I say this. I'm saying this because it makes me feel good. Okay. What I want you to get is sitting around and taking stock of what's good in your life is not an empty activity. You get dopamine. You give your brain machine some relaxation and reward. So walking around and taking stock every morning when you get up of what's good in your life, even when everything is not good, is a way of getting dopamine. So gratitude is a very useful emotional management strategy. It's easy when you do what I do for a living, and you're always taking care of mental illness, to always be fixing problems, to always be saying, oh, you're anxious. Here's how you manage that. Oh, you're depressed. Here's how you manage that. Often in my job, we forget to say, so tell me what's good in your life. When you ask that to a patient, they often get impatient and irritable because that's not what they came to talk about. But if you can get them to do it, you'll see the dopamine hit. You'll see their face relax. You'll see them start to show their teeth and smile. That's the dopamine hit. So remember, in your long-term emotional management strategies, you do need to stop and do gratitude. And it's a very useful thing. Alrighty, let's go on. What else have I got going? I'm not reading too much. I'm in the series of mystery novels about Beatrice Hyde Clare. The first one is A Brazen Curiosity. I'm in the second one. These are fluffy. The reason I'm recommending them is they're funny. They're written from a very 21st century sensibility and what the author is doing. Beatrice is like the only one in her world who thinks like we do. She's a spinster on the shelf, she believes, at 26 years old. This is a kind of Pride and Prejudice at a weird angle. That she meets a duke, and it's obvious he's tired of everybody just bowing and scraping to him, but it's also obvious he enjoys it. And because she feels freed from all that, because she expects to be an unwanted, dependent spinster sponging off her family for the rest of her life, she's just kind of obnoxious to him, and he kind of enjoys it, and they're solving mysteries. Sure, we know where this has to go, but it's a lot of fun, and it's very much a 21st century sensibility, and you should really enjoy these. I still have the link up for the free textbook on cultural anthropology. I still have the link up for Introduction to American Deaf Culture, and sooner or later I am going to watch that episode of She-Hulk on Disney, episode 7, I think it is. Something I really like, voting. Did I mention you should vote? Yes, you should vote. Come on, let's rock the vote. Let's do it, girls. We know there's been a huge turnout of people registering to vote lately. We know 70% of them have been female. Why do you think that is? Well, because now in some states, if you have a pregnancy and something goes horribly wrong in the pregnancy, it's going to be a death sentence for you. That's not just talking about abortion anymore. That's talking about women being victims of their pregnancy. Now, I'm in California. That's not a risk here. But there are states where it is. Think about, they've just found 3 more little girls who got raped, who can't get abortions. And they're too young to have babies. They're going to die from this. So if you're a rape victim, it's a death sentence if you're a young girl. So we need to think about these things. Am I saying anything about abortion here? No. What I'm talking about is the lives of women deserve to be protected. Saying I want an abortion in the first trimester of my pregnancy, and I'm an adult woman and I made an adult decision to have unprotected sex, that's rather a different thing than talking about I'm a 12-year-old who got raped and my body can't handle a pregnancy and it's probably going to kill me. It's also a very different thing from talking about I wanted my baby, I carried my pregnancy to the 3rd trimester, and now there is a serious issue that is going to kill the baby and is likely to kill me, but I am not allowed to do anything about that. Okay, so please keep in mind, whatever your thoughts on abortion, this is not a simple question of abortion anymore. This is a question of, for many women, if these laws are allowed to stand, pregnancy is going to be a death sentence through no fault and no willingness of their own. Responsible people who wanted to handle life responsibly are going to die because of these laws. Is that reasonable? So please, whatever you think about this, please go out and vote. Something else I really like, I have a portable DVD player. These things are a miracle. Now I know there are special models made to go in the backs of car seats so you can keep the kiddies happy on the ride. And those are great things, but I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about a little $130 machine I got at Best Buy, a company named Insignia. And it's a little bit clunky and it can be kind of sticky opening and closing the door on it. But you know what? That's $130 well spent, because it means I actually can take DVDs for classes with earphones anywhere I want and study. So I've just rediscovered my portable DVD, which we had to hide from my son because in his early teens, he was smuggling it into his room and watching DVDs all night. Children, remember when I was young back at his age in the 1970s, and we did that with books and flashlights. It's a lot easier for them. These things run on batteries. But something I really like, people who vote, people who research their vote. But also, my portable DVD player from Insignia, yeah, this is right out of Best Buy. Put a lid on it. Cheeseburger, cheeseburger. If you're my age, you get that joke. But this week, I discovered keto cheeseburgers. What is a keto cheeseburger? It's a cheeseburger without a bun, of course, because cheeseburgers are perfectly keto. However, since I'm going bun-free, now, you can make a keto bun. You can use chaffles to do this. You can use all sorts of keto bread mixes. But really, why? Why add carbs? Cheeseburgers, you're not there for the bun, you know. You're there for the burger. And of course, making burgers can be a messy business with fat frying everywhere if you use a conventional frying pan. So here is the keto cheeseburger version of choice for me. Chop an onion. Slice an avocado. Got to get those healthy fats anywhere you can. Okay, meanwhile, you're going to use as much burger as you want. I go for high fat. This is Trader Joe's, 15% fat, 85% non-fat. I also like to throw in, yes, good old-fashioned yellow mustard, one of the few foods they haven't added sugar to yet. And I like kosher dill hamburger slices. And I like minced garlic. So here's what you're going to do with all this stuff. You're going to take I like to use a large flat soup bowl, and I like to slice my avocado and lay it on the bottom. Okie doke. By the way, I forgot cheese. All the cheese you want. There you go. I don't use pre-sliced cheese because they use starch to solidify it. So I grate my own cheese, or I'll just get part of a wheel of cheese and slice it. All right, here we go. So you're going to take that avocado, slice it, put it in the bottom of your big flat bowl with raised edges or a plate, whatever you like. Turn your Instant Pot, your pressure cooker, onto saute. Yeah, we're going to use the Instant Pot as a frying pan. We're not going to use it in the typical pressure cooker way. Turn it on high to saute and let it warm up. Chop up your onion. Also mince your garlic. When your Instant Pot hits hot, put the onion and the garlic in some butter in it and just let it all sizzle for a minute or two. Then take your ground beef and put it in there, just all crumbled up. And at this point, I put a lid on it, not the pressure cooker lid. I have a special lid, a heat-resistant glass lid made specifically by Instant Pot for the Instant Pot. So I will put that on top of the pot instead of using the regular pressure cooker lid. And then I walk away for 5 minutes, setting a timer usually. In 5 minutes, I come back, I take a metal spatula and I turn it all over just to make sure it's all sizzling nicely and it's going from pink to brown. And at this point, I will put my cheese on it. Sometimes I will slice the cheese off a cheese wheel. Sometimes I will just sprinkle a whole lot of pre-grated cheese on it. I grate my own. Again, when you don't, you have a risk of getting starch in it. It's amazing what food manufacturers will put starch into. So then I let it go another 5 minutes. I will deglaze the pan, but it doesn't take a lot because I believe in a lot of butter or olive oil in this. And then I'm done. I pour it into my bowl over the sliced avocado. And then I take my yellow mustard, my cheap yellow mustard, and I squirt that baby all over the top. And then I will put my dill slices on it. This is my keto cheeseburger. Let me tell you, you don't need anything else but this. However, should you decide to finish your meal with a pint of keto ice cream from Rebel, I would understand that. Also, I discovered the best flavor of Rebel ice cream, although you rarely see it. Banana, peanut butter chip. Honestly, I would go keto just to eat this stuff. But there you have it, the keto cheeseburger. We are on to the blather, which is good because it's almost time to see patients. First of all, my thanks to Minerva, who rescued from I have no idea where a small Lego minifigure of traditional Princess Leia wearing the dress she wears in the first movie and carrying a honking big blaster. So Princess Leia is now my desk mascot. Thank you, Minerva. ASL, I can't remember if we're on week 7 or week 8. We have the midterm tonight. I am enjoying it. I now react to ASL the way I react to other languages when I'm studying. That is, as I speak English, I often, in the background, am rehearsing that other language, doing what I am saying in English in that other language. So even as I talk to you, I am seeing little hallucinations of hand outlines performing the words I'm speaking. That to me is a sign that I'm learning the language. Way to go. I really like it because we've hit a point where we now have a considerable amount of vocabulary. So I can now say things more useful than, this is my shirt, it is red. I can now do things like say, where's the restroom? And I can give and receive directions. Or do you know a good restaurant? Probably about a 50-50 chance I'll get your finger spelling without having to ask you to slow down. The pup date, nothing much is going on. We're all just getting by. I'm enjoying the renaissance of Blankets, who at 14 years old wants to go outside, wants to be outside in the house, wants to be around, circulating. She did not like the boys leaving. That German Shepherds do not like a break in their routine, believe me. However, she also doesn't like male humans. So she's been a lot more social. Now, this is a 14-year-old dog. Don't get your hopes up on how social she's being. But it's nice to see her, and she's more communicative with me. The beloved husband and his eyes. Well, we had a bit of a crisis yesterday. He woke up in hysterics because he was getting periods of white blindness in one eye. So he didn't react in his best way. He went to another issue that's totally unrelated to his eyes and tantrumed, and after we managed that, we realized this was him trying to distract himself with a bit of high drama. He was that scared from what was going on. He went over to see the doc. The doc increased his steroid to help with pressure in his eyes. He is very nervous that they're going to have to give him steroid injections directly into his eye if the drops don't work. But he's had good luck with the drops in the past. The doctor isn't seeing him for another week. The doctor isn't worried. But he's having a tough time, so keep him in your thoughts and prayers and all that. I'm sorry I just used that hackneyed line. But anyway, send him all the good. The dumpster, I filled it in 30 minutes. Yes, the dumpster is still with us. Allegedly, it gets picked up tomorrow. But it came at 7:30 this past Friday morning. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to fill it in a week, and I wasn't. I filled it in 40 minutes. Well, actually 30, but I noticed it at 40 minutes that I had filled the dumpster. So I now have 500 pounds of basically cardboard trash sitting in my front area of the house, and hopefully they pick it up and take it away tomorrow. It's pretty exciting. Meanwhile, the calendar, we are on First Stitches, Southern California on November 13th at least, I hope, assuming my husband's eyes are sorted out by then. We are on for the Grand Canyon, June 5th through 9th, 2023, Bright Angel Lodge if you want to come visit. I am tentatively on for Sunnybank in August of 2023. So that's kind of nice. And now Minerva gets the last word. Well, the funny thing is, she's now a lot more attentive, and she's jumping into my chair with me almost all the time. She wants to see and be seen. This got really a bit out of control. I was on the app Go React recording videos for my ASL class in which I demonstrate my ability to sign with my teacher. And Minerva kept jumping into the chair and I kept restarting. Finally, I gave up. What does this mean? It means I'm able to say in ASL, "Excuse me, this is my cat, Minerva, my black cat. She wants to help me." And I'm hoping the teacher does not mind. But Minerva herself wants you to know that she is a star on Go React in ASL 101 Section 68 at the College of the Canyons, appearing now fall semester of 2022. On that happy note, please remember, wear your mask in the crowd, wash your hands, socially distance when appropriate, get all your shots. Take care of yourself, everybody. Stay safe. Take care of each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. So we have come to the end of another episode of Cognitive. Please do not use this podcast to diagnose yourself. If you think you are having a mental health problem, please contact a licensed mental health professional. Show notes for these episodes can be found at cognitivepodcast, all one word, .blogspot.com. Episodes can be found at iTunes under the name Cognitive Podcast, but also can be found posted next to the show notes on the Blogspot page. Thank you so much for listening. Everybody, stay safe, take care of each other, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.